We're going to define that word, perhaps a little bit loosely, but the idea of being justified from all things. Now, I understand there are probably Bible students and theologians who are listening to my gospel message who are going to get it on their computers and do up their little email to me later and trying to correct all of my terminology and all of my definitions. Well, you can if you like. I have a spam junk folder. I just forward them right there. What I am going to tell you tonight is a message about how you can once and for all be made right with the God of heaven. The word justified has the idea of a legal term. It's the concept of guilt. Someone who has stood in a courtroom. Having stood in that courtroom, the evidence has been presented against them as the defendant. When the evidence is presented methodically and carefully, it becomes very evident that the only verdict can be guilty. And then the judge, who is doing right by the law and doing right by the evidence, comes down with the verdict. The defendant, based on the evidence, has offended against the law, and therefore he is guilty. And the punishment then is cast as the sentence. So the verdict is guilty. In our case, when it comes to our sin, standing before a holy God, in light of his righteousness, in light of his holiness, and in light of his purity, we are guilty. And the sentence, because of our guilt, is eternal separation from God. Separation from God now in time as we move through this life, but separation from God in eternity, when according to the scriptures, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I come back to the concept of our authority being based on the Bible. There are all kinds of teachings. There are all kinds of, can I say, doctrines. But when it comes down to it, we weigh our teaching by the Holy Scriptures, and the Holy Scriptures declare there is a real place called hell. It is a real place of suffering. It is a real place of torment. It is a conscious torment for all eternity, where their worm dieth not, the Bible says, and the fire itself is not quenched. The verdict, guilty, in light of our offenses against a holy God. The sentence, separation in hell and the lake of fire for all eternity. But we have a God who not only is a righteous judge, but he's a caring creator. And his desire is to take the same person who has been declared guilty and make a declaration for all of heaven to hear, a declaration for all of earth to hear, a declaration for every angel to hear, a declaration for every demon to hear, a declaration for mankind to hear, a declaration for Satan himself to be made aware of. It is a declaration. This sinner who's been proven guilty has now been declared righteous in the eyes of the same God.